Welcome to Off-Duty Engineer. I am Alan. This channel is for some of my scale modeling projects, plastic aircraft, wooden ships, and dioramas to display them. This is the detailed build of the scale model of the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk 60-inch wingspan or 1/7 scale. This is the detailed build, part 4 of 4 final. First, the photos of the final result. This model is 1/7 scale with a wingspan of 60 inches or 5 foot or 1.5 meters. This P-40 is a top flight model made in the USA circa 1975. The kit was intended for full radio control standoff competition. I decided to build it for display only, but with full radio control and electric motor for the propeller. The kit was manufactured in about 1975, so the wood is very brittle and the vinyl decals very old. I decided to build it for show and not for flying. I wanted to add all the radio control servos in with a small electric motor for the prop, for effect. I wanted to show as much of the original wood as possible, so the camo green is on part on the outside, but the rest is wood to view. I received this model kit from my late cousin Aubrey in July 2025. It was unbuilt and most of the parts were in the box. A few other parts were later found. A lot of the parts were needed to be sourced. This P-40 kit build is in 5 parts. Each part is about 1 hour. This first video is the final model with the build in photo essay format. Then the other 4 videos are the detailed build. Okay, on the fuselage, I've also coated it with that wood sealer everywhere I could. It's not complete yet, the woodwork's not complete, but I just wanted to get that sealed in so far. Also made a little stand for it, which you can see over there. One side, the other side, over there. Just to assist with working with it. So it'll accommodate the fuselage the correct way, right way up or upside down. There you go, it's upside down. So the next step will be to take this whole out to the garage again and to fit the wing onto the fuselage over here. Bit of shaping work to be done over here. There's the dowel and the lock for the dowel on that side, the lock piece of wood, which I've got. And to drill the 2 screw holes and the screws that hold the back of the wing in. Get the wing straightened and fit those. So a quick catch up. I've finished outside in the garage fitting the wings to the fuselage. I took photos of that, no video. Is out in the garage, so that'll be included. But then after that, I then just brought it in the fuselage on its own and finished off some of the cockpit. See, I've got it was just a photocopy of the cockpit control panel there. I fabricated a seat, and I'll maybe show that to you a bit better. It'll be a photograph as well. There you can see the seat that was fabricated. Let's get this thing caught in there. And here's the pilot. I have to give her a name still. And she fits in over there. With the canopy over there. I'll just try to put this back a little bit again to show the pilot in her seat. Be photographs as well. Yeah, so I'm going to put the wings back on again and take it to the club meeting tonight. So back to the drawing board. I have this piece of mod wood. Now this is not ply, I mean balsa wood. This is hobby wood. It's actually Palowina. It's slightly harder, finer grain, but heavier, of course. In my case, that does not matter. So back to the drawing board, and I need 6 pieces of these instead of 3, and I'll cut them out of here. I like the idea of using the mill, so I'll mark these out, and I'll use that milling tip in the bench press to cut out. That'll go all the way through. If I had a jigsaw or a bandsaw, vertical bandsaw, or a scroll saw, that would work, but I don't have those tools, so I'll stick with what I've got. Okay, progress update a few minutes later. So I took the 2 blue cardboard templates that I'd cut, transferred them, traced them out onto the hobby wood, which is 6.5mm thick. I then cut it out with a fret saw carefully. I did not use the mill on the machine because I started using it, but it has a decided inclination to follow the grain, strong inclination, so this thing's wandering too much. So I left that. I switched back to the fret saw. You can actually see that first cut that I did there, how jagged it is from the mill and how relatively smooth the others are from the fret saw. So I cut outside the line and used 100 grit and the block to get closer to the line. It's nearly there. Yeah, so this was the first pass. So there's the 2 pages. That's the offcuts, which I keep. There's the 2 pieces. So I have fitted them, and they fit reasonably well. A little bit of fine tuning, but on the inside here, but really not much. It's pretty good. And ready for the next step. So the next step was, I now have to build this up on the side there with about 3 layers, vertical layers. This one's vertical. You have about 3 layers of this, maybe 4. 3 layers of this way, with another one. In fact, let's make this piece of wood. I'm also visualizing it in my head. So each one can be slightly smaller than the one before. Go and visualize it like that, and one ends up, of course the edges are the same. You end up with a edge something like that. Okay, quick update again. So I've cut the 3 pieces, or 1 or 2 or 3, and I've put them one behind the other over there, or in front of actually, and there you can see the basic idea of the stepping. You can see it's stepped about 5 mils or odd down. Then I can glue this. I'm just going to, as it is right now, clamped. I'm just going to run some fine glue in between. Let it just wick up and glue it. Same with the left. There they are. And the next step would be, after it's glued and dried, it will be a few minutes, is to reshape the inside to follow the wing. Then reshape the back here to follow behind the wing. Once that fits nicely, then just scallop that so it's got a chamfer this way. You can see. Thought I'd do a quick update. These are the wing roots completed. The opposite to that, I'll turn it around so you can see it relating to that photo. Here we are. So you can see the complex angles that they're on. This is the back, the other side. The scallop in, or the shape in, and this goes right round to nearly the leading edge of the wing. This goes against the fuselage, and this presses against the wing. It'll be glued against the fuselage here. Same with this side. Glued on this side. The wing will press up against here, right up to the leading edge. This is the back. That's the tail end of the flap. It's against the body, fuselage. And again, you can see the scallop. A quite complex shape. I think you can see the angles on it. I only need the 3 pieces of wood that I showed you before. I did not need the 4th one. So I did a basic fit along the bottom. the wing, and then I did a 80 grit sandpaper on a block just to about 45 degrees ish, and then I used the Dremel tool to scallop out the center, and 80 grit around a 20 millimeter diameter pipe just by hand, and I moved this out a bit, and I used 120 grit for the same, and then put some timber sealer on it just to bind it all together, because the wood is very rough. This is all on end grain here, so it's very rough. There it is, the two that fit. Fuselage is in the middle, plane faces that way, and it's ready for the next step. Well, the wing roots are now fitted. Glued them onto the fuselage. I did have the wing in with some baking sheet in between as a preventative for the glue not to stick to the wings. Then fastened them on with super glue, just held them in place for a bit, and yeah, this is the result. Show you now. There's the one, and there's the other. You can see the compound curves on it. Yeah. So the next part is to take the electronics. I have here, I have the battery, the radio control receiver. Yeah, you can see them then. Battery, radio control receiver. There's a terminal block for the lights wiring coming in, and the switch, which needs to be positioned along the side here somewhere. You can switch it on and off. It's locked. There we are. Switch it on and off, and that'll come through the side over there to switch it on and off. And that's also the charging port, so that you can charge it up, connect the charger to it. Some of the connectors here need to change, but the principle is there, and I can use it. Well, time for an update. Excuse the tailplane in the way there. That's the way it is. I've done all the electrics. All the radio control gear is in, all of it. I built a little battery box there to drop the battery in. I glued in a plane there, an angular base there to put the radio control receiver and the two control modules on either side, one on either side. That's just stuck on with Velcro, so I can pop them off. Brought the wiring in, took it through the chock block and the dropping resistors for the two LEDs. The LED in the cockpit I'll show you in a moment, and the one on the top of the tail down there. So there's the two antennas for the receiver. I also mounted the switch on the side. I'll show you that in a sec. Turn it over. And that's from the battery through the switch to the RC receiver, and then to drive the servos. So I've tested everything. Everything works. I had to realign some of the servos up. These were never finished. I just got them basically going in the beginning. They're now working and positioned up in the correct driving arm radius for them. And I've fixed them in. I had to adjust a few things along the way, but that's done. Electric motor control circuit, ESC, that drives through to the motor over there. I've just stuck it down temporarily at that position there with a gear on it. I'll show you a bit better. So it's a small motor, and I've put a gear on it, and I've got a matching gear for the shaft that's going to connect to the spinner and the prop. Okay, so go to the side. There's the switch. Switch the unit on, and off, and it's the charging port as well. I'll carry on turning it over. There is the back of the motor. This is going to get covered up. I don't need access from the side at all, because I've done all the work access from this side deliberately to see if I actually need to get in from the side. After putting these in, it's fine. So there's it's just a photocopy of the cockpit control and the pilot lady over there. In fastening this piece down, I actually ended up gluing this seat arrangement in, so it can't come out again. There you can actually see the LED that I put in. You can just see it from this side. There's a white LED over there, and it shines down onto the cockpit panel. And I'll show you something that happened while I was handling the wing. Look at that. Isn't that annoying? I just stuck my finger through it, picking it up. This is the old original wood, balsa wood, some 50 years old, very brittle. So I just literally just picked it up, pushed my finger, I just heard pop. So I'll have to pop these pieces out, put some strengthening pieces behind it, and see if I can get it back. Alternatively, I'll cut a big square out and use that. Anyway, so that's one of the next tasks. Morning. Update from yesterday and the issue with the wings. When I stuck my thumb through the wing, show you the result. There it is. There, my thumb is now. I actually did it twice, by the way. That was the first one. And while fixing that one, I shoved my finger through over there again, my thumb, holding the wing. So, but that one was a lot easier to fix. I just popped them out a little bit. It was much smaller. Yeah. So I glued them back in with some very runny CA. Then I sanded it down, 120 grit, and then 400. Then I did some wood fill a little bit. And I sanded that down when it was dry, a few hours. And then I just put some new timber sealer on it. So, got chuffed with that. Got to be so careful not to do it again. It just shows the age of this wood, how brittle it actually is. Hi, update from this morning, from yesterday's work. This is my head again on the wings. Yeah, I have fitted this fairing down at the bottom here. Cut it neatly out of the old plastic that we had. See here, this is where it came out of, and I cut it with a Dremel tool with a disc parallel to where it should be. Plastic is quite thick, it's 1.2 millimeters, and it works very well. It sands easily. I just trimmed it out and stuck it down with CA. I then moved on to this cowling. I'll show you over here. Here we are. Yeah, there's some work to do on the top, but anyway, it's there. Using again the old parts. Take it off, you can have a look at it. So there's just take it apart. So there's the rear part of the cowling. I decided to leave all the extra plastic on because I don't need the ventilation of the air through there. I strengthened up the side with thin wood. I then fitted that onto there. It fits perfect. The other one I cut neatly around here. I just tidied it up, and it goes onto this one over there. I just want to, before I glue these two together, this is polystyrene, so I'll use modeling glue, polystyrene glue. Before I glue these two together, I want it fixed to the airplane. You see I'll show you over here. I've added in these pieces of wood along there, where this cowling fits up against. There's an outside, and I will do similar for the front cowling along the front. Strengthening pieces over here and start the support wood So that's the progress so far. Very chuffed, very slow. Just got to be very diligent, work 3 steps in advance, always looking ahead, looking ahead, looking ahead. What's the next step? What's the next step? Test and fit and test and fit, and just move slowly, 1 step at a time. Hi there. Well, a few updates the last few days. Working hard on the project. I want to get this thing finished now. On the canopy fitting, I've been working on that. Here she is, the pilot. I've fitted these little cheeks in over here. I actually used the wood they supplied, which was balsa, and then I put a piece of this thin 1.5mm wood over the top, which is the same wood as this. So this wood, and this wood are the same type, probably from the same sheet. Okay, well, these two. Did the same on that side. You can see from the top, little strengthening piece that I've fitted over there. Then I had to work out how to fit the canopies on. I've just formed the canopies a little bit. I'll show you that a bit later. And then I put these 2 pieces in there to hold the canopy. That's brass angle iron, 1/8 inch angle iron, brass, there to hold the canopy as it comes backwards. And then I made up these sliders, which will disappear once it's painted. Will largely disappear. Where the back canopy is, the canopy will be open. So the front canopy comes up to there, and the rear canopy will fit in from there. So that part there will be the rear canopy. That's the slider, just there for show. Well, that does slide. All right, so that's that part done. Then I worked on the canopy itself. Doing this. There we are. The canopies, this is the original yellow 50-year-old canopy. I did not use. I used the new canopy, and I have painted it, as you can see, the front part, the back part. So I masked it from the inside to get the steel structure painted from the inside. I hope it works. Anyway, did it. I also fitted little brass edging along the open edges there. That was really, really small, 1/32 of an inch brass angle. I'll show you that just now when it's open. So this is painted after masking. There are photos of that, which I'll show. I then put plastic primer on it, Tamiya primer in black. I thought I'm not going to go for the body color. It's just difficult to get it to match, but I can make all the canopy lines black. So I did the black Tamiya black primer, and then I put Tamiya black top coat on it. So yeah, the next is to unmask this and see what it actually comes out like. Okay, that's the canopy unmasked. Came out beautifully. So there you can see the lines on it. Very thin lines that I've left from behind, masked from the back. And there you can see the brass edging that I put on. That took painfully a long time to get that done. Hi, well, it's been a bit of a gap since the last recording. We've had family events to do and all the rest of it. Things happen. door to board a car, etc., etc., etc. So been out and about. So a few things have happened since then. So I'll just catch up with this now. The most important is the spinner arrived from Russell in Queensland. Beautiful job he's done. Handmade aluminium. I'll bring it in there. You can see it. Beautiful job. I've fitted it already. There's the spun aluminium tip and the machined aluminium base there. I have fitted the propeller on already, 3-blader. Most remote control use 2-bladed props. This is a 3-bladed prop, so he had to actually machine this whole thing separately for me on a prop that he had, similar prop that he had. So there, it is working. I'll show you underneath how I've fitted it together. It was a really bit of an interesting arrangement. Without getting my head in there, I can show you a little bit. There's the prop. I basically used an M6 by 150 millimeter stainless steel bolt. The head is on this side. Washers and lock washers. Goes through the base of the spinner. More locking things. I fitted this bulkhead in here to hold the shaft in with double nuts on each side, and more nuts on this side there to center it and steady it out. And then it continues into the other bay over here by about another 20 millimeters. That piece I basically machined down and put a gear on it on the shaft. Here's the little electric motor on a hinged platform over there. And then, yeah, there's the remote control going into it. And I then made this thing hinged a little bit, so you can actually lift and lower it over there to make this gear engage with the other gear or be free. Like right now it's free. And then on the other side, flip it over and back again. I went down to the shaft, the steel shaft, all the way back down there, through into the cockpit. And there's the cockpit part. Put it over here. And here you can actually see I've got a little gear lever there. And you can then use this. See, it's at the back at the moment, so it's free. And then use that, push it up, engage it in that mode there. You see it's now towards the front. And now the motor is engaged. The motor and the prop are engaged. Well, completed the 3 plastics in the front, namely the nose intake and the 2 exhausts. So you can see them both. That's on. That's all cut. That's on. I did use the old plastic, the 50-year-old plastic, to just because it was a little bit thicker and better than the new plastic actually from Russell, and it was an okay nick. So I fitted it, cut it carefully. Used the Dremel saw to cut this, then a bit of sand filing to get it to follow the contour. Mark it each time. File a bit, mark file, and so forth. These were much easier to fit. I did put a little bit of balsa wood behind, just to give it a bit of more surface area to glue. This one was okay, but this one, because it's very thin, give it a bit more surface area to glue. Yeah, I just measured them, fitted them. So that's it. Yeah, let's move on. Here are the photos in wood finish. Quite stunning. What do you think? Next was the final painting. For the camo, I decided to use dark green, but instead of the sand color, I would leave the wood showing. The balsa wood color was close to the sand color. I wanted to show maximum of the original wood for display. For the bottom, I would only paint parts in the light grey blue and show the rest as wood. I also decided to airbrush the main USA roundels and the shark mouth. The original vinyl sheets seemed too old to be used on curved surfaces. I started with the easy tasks first. The blue-grey bottom used a Tamiya spray can. Mask the radiator under the wing, prime and paint that. Then the front air scoop and the underside cowling. The engine exhausts would end up machine grey. Canopy slides would be light sand, also Tamiya spray can. The intake on the nose was sand colour, but I would later change this to black. Next, the camo green, to be masked and Tamiya spray can. Primer would not be needed because of the good timber sealant used as the base. I tested this on a sample. Using a light soft pencil first and then 3mm Tamiya masking tape, the green area was masked. Then fill in the rest with 6mm Tamiya tape, then 25mm frog tape, then sheets of paper. Need lots of space and ventilation for a 1/7 scale kit. Unmask with bated breath. The wood looks good against the green. All good so far. I used printed copies of the decals for planning and viewing on the P-40. I procured Tamiya mask sheets of 280 by 250mm. The USA roundels would fit onto this. I scanned the roundels 1-to-1 and tidied the image up on the computer using a good old PowerPoint that can work in exact dimensions. I then printed this 1-to-1 on the back of the Tamiya mask sheets, 4 of them. The mask sheets could then be cut with a number 10 blade and transferred as a mask to the fuselage and wings. I used the outside of the Tamiya sheet to mask the area of the roundel. I decided to use the grey primer because of the different colours on the base and the white to be put on top to give a more even colour finish. I water airbrush and Vallejo grey primer. While drying, I cut the other parts of the Tamiya decal sheets. The white was Vallejo and airbrush, a few coats. When dry, use the star and bar decal sheets cut and then spray the dark blue. I used Vallejo, 2/3 dark blue with 1/3 black. Unmask and minor tidy up, repeat 4 times. Looks good. Next big task was the shark mouth. I left this till last to get experience doing the roundels first. I decided to do all the masking by hand and not to use the Tamiya sheet that I had printed. I would only cut the teeth from the sheet. This would all be airbrushed and Vallejo paint. The sequence was 1. Masking the outer, then primer and white. 2. Mask for the blue line and paint this. 3. Then mask the teeth to keep them white. 4. Then mask and paint the red. 5. Then mask and paint the black. Then unmask everything and hope for a good result. I think it turned out fantastic. To seal the paint on the fuselage and the wings, I used acrylic gloss, a Dulux spray can from the local hardware store. Had to be acrylic, not enamel. 2 coats to seal, and then added the last few vinyl decals that I cut from the original 50 old sheets. These decals were going onto flat surfaces, so I thought this would be okay. They did stick well. I fitted the spinner and decided to keep this original aluminium to display the workmanship. I fitted the canopy and the female pilot. I fixed the wings and the fuselage together again, tested the radio controls. Yeah, finished. Here are some final photos again. This was a very satisfying build. The build took about 3 months build time, over 6 months. It was a great learning curve. I love building different types of models for different skill sets. Plastic aeroplanes and armor, wood ships, scratch-built dioramas, even Lego and mini blocks. This P-40 was a wood and radio control experience. This P-40 was in honor of Aubrey as memory of the day. The P-40 is now proudly on display in my office, hanging from the ceiling. Here is a quick look at some of my recent models completed. Some of these took first and second prizes at recent competitions. You can see all my scale model builds on YouTube at OffDutyEngineer 57. My credo is create, inspire, enjoy. Thank you. That is all. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please follow, like, subscribe, etc. See you next time. Thank you.